Sigismund had the advantage of reach with his long blade, and Abaddon held the advantage of strength in his Terminator plate. My lord would fight with a weighty disadvantage of the talon upon his balancing hand. But it gave him a devastating weapon, if the duel allowed him a chance to use it. Sigismund would be faster in his ornate power armor, but there was no way of knowing how much age had slowed him. Abaddon and Sigismund's blades met for the first time, skidding clash and that sprayed sparks across both warriors. I thought it might have been a signal for both sides to charge, for us to butcher Sigismund's elite while the lords battled. Yet there was no such uproar. I felt the acidic squirt of adrenal narcotics pumping through Amuriel's bloodstream, injected by his armor in response to his battle hunger. He flinched and winced with the crashing blows of the warlord's blades, and he was not the only one to follow the fight with such ferocious focus. Doubtless imagining he wielded a sword in Abaddon's place. Their clashing blades brought a storm's light to the place of austere darkness. Lightning sheeted across the cracked marble walls and illuminated the stained glass windows, bathing the cold statues' faces of Black Templar heroes in flashes of even colder illumination. Those stone worthies looked on only marginally more stoic than the watching warriors of both black-clad hosts. In the years after the duel, those of us fortunate enough to witness it have spoken in terms both trite and profound of how it played out. One of Xadu's preferred claims is that Abaddon led Sigismund the entire time, that our Lord laughed all the while as he toyed with the ancient Black Templar before delivering the death blow. This is the tale, related by shrieking masquerades, various war bands, and one that Telemachron has never contradicted. Amuriel once described it in terms I preferred, saying that Sigismund was ice and precision, while Abaddon was passion and fire, that bore the ring of truth from what I saw through Amuriel's own eyes. Sigismund knew he would die, even if he defeated Abaddon. He and his warriors were outnumbered 4-1. His ship still rolled in the void, still burned within as our boarding parties swept through its veins like venom in the bloodstream. But if the battle for the Eternal Crusader was still in doubt, there was no such mystery surrounding the endgame within this chamber. Even if fate, or a miracle of fate, spared Sigismund, the rage of 40 bolters and blades would not. And Sigismund's age did show. It slowed him, the finest duelist ever to wear ceramite, to a pace that was no faster than Abaddon in his hulking Terminator plate. He lacked Ezekiel's enhanced strength in that great suit of armor, and the age and weariness robbed him even further. He was already decorated in the blood of my slain brothers, and this was far from his first battle of the day. were his old hearts straining? Would they fail him now and burst in his proud chest? Is that how the greatest of space marine legends was fated to end? I found the signs of Sigismund's age unconscionably tragic, a fact that Ezekiel later mocked me for, calling it a symptom of my maudlin ties and nature. He remarked that I should have paid more heed to the fact that the Black Knight, at his 1,000 natural years of age, could still have stood toe-to-toe and matched blade to blade with practically any warrior in the 9 legions. Age had slowed Sigismund, but all it had done was slow him to a level with the rest of us. I did pay heed, of course. The outcome of the duel was never in question, but that did not mean I was blind to Sigismund's consummate skill. I had never seen him fight before, and I doubted anyone but the 9 legions' highest elite could face him and live even now. And at the best, he would have rivaled any being that drew breath. Sigismund's artistry with a sword is best summed up by the way he moved. Duelists will parry and deflect to keep themselves alive, if they have the skill to do so. And if they lack that skill, or simply rely on strength to win battles, then they will lay into the fight with a longer, 2-handed blade, trusting in its weight and power to overcome an enemy's defenses. Sigismund did neither of these. I never saw him simply parry a blow. For every move he made blended defense into attack. He somehow deflected Abaddon's strikes as an after effect of making his own attacks. Even Telemachron, who is possibly the most gifted bladesman I have ever seen, will parry his opponent's blows. He does it with an effortlessness that borders on inattention, something practically beneath him that he performs on instinct. But he still does it. Sigismund attacked, and he somehow deflected every blow while doing so. Aggression boiled beneath his every motion. Yet Sigismund was wearing down, minute by minute. Air soared through the grate of his clenched teeth. Abaddon roared and spat and laid into him with great swinging blows from both blade and talon. Never tiring, never slowing. Sigismund, in contrast, grew ever more conservative with his motion. He was tiring beneath the pressure of Abaddon's rage. The spring sparks of abused power fields now showed his stern features set in a rictus of effort. In so many battles, whether they are between 2 souls or 2 armies, a moment arises where the balance will shift inexorably one way or the other. When one shield wall begins to buckle, when one territory begins to fall, when one warship's shields fail or engines give out, when one fighter makes a cursory error or begins to weaken. I saw it happen in that duel. I saw Sigismund take a step back, just a single step. But this first of the battle so far. Abaddon's lightning-lit features turned cruel and confident, with bitter mirth. And tell me something, I said before I leave.
Speak.
Sigismund, how did he wound you? Abaddon fell silent. The vicious vitality of ambition bleeding away. The black rebreather covered much of his face, and the murk occluded some of his expression. But I believe, for the very first time, I saw something like shame flicker across my lord's face. How curious. He wouldn't die, Abaddon said at last. Truthful and low. He just wouldn't die. I did not need to skim his mind for insight. Just for his tone, I knew what had happened. He baited you. You were lost in rage. I saw the muscles of Abaddon's jaw and throat clench as he ground his teeth.
It was over before I knew he had struck me. I couldn't breathe. I felt no pain. But I couldn't breathe. The black sword was buried to the hilt, like the old man had sheathed it inside my chest.
Ezekiel's voice was soft across the speakers, cushioned by the bitterness and fascination of reflection. His words were almost staccato whispers, each one a drop of acid on bare skin.
The only way to kill me was to welcome his own death. And he did it. The moment the chance arose, we were face to face like that, with his blade through my body. My armor sparred, and it failed. I lashed back. His blood soaked the talon, and he fell.
I remained quiet, letting Abaddon's tail unspool. His eyes were looking through me, not seeing what was, but what had been.
He wasn't dead. He was on the floor, sprawled like a corpse, disemboweled and torn in two, but he still lived. I was on my knees, forcing my dead lungs to keep breathing, kneeling over him like an apothecary. The black sword still through me. Our eyes met, and he spoke.
I did not ask Abaddon to tell me. I reached into his thoughts, then, tentatively at first, just in case he rebuffed my presence. Then I closed my eyes, and I saw the Black Knight fallen and ripped apart, his sword brethren gone or dead, I did not know. Red stained Sigismund's tabard, red decorated the deck beneath and around him, red in Abaddon's eyes, misting his sight. So much blood. Here, at the last, he looked every one of his years, with time's lines cracking his face. He looked upward at the chamber's ornate ceiling, his eyes lifted as if in reverence to the master of mankind upon his throne of gold. Sigismund's hand trembled, still twitching, seeking his fallen sword.
No.
Abaddon murmured with brotherly gentleness through the running of his blood and the heaving of his chest.
No. It's over. Sleep now in the failure you have earned.
The knight's fingertips scrapped at the hilt of his blade. So very close. Yet he lacked the strength to move even that far. His face was bloodless blue of the newly dead, and yet still he breathed.
Sigismund,
Lips darkened by his own lifeblood.
this claw has killed 2 Primarchs. It wounded the Emperor unto death. I would have spared it. The taste of your life as well, if only you could see what I have seen.
As I stared through Abaddon's eyes, I confess, I expected the triteness of some knightly oath, or a final murmur in the Emperor's name. Instead, the ruined thing that has been first captain of the Imperial Fist and High Marshal of the Black Templars spoke through a mouthful of blood, committing the last of his life to biting off each word, ensuring he spoke each one in shivering, sanguine clarity. You will die as your weakling father did. Soulless, honorless, weeping, and ashamed. Sigismund's last word was also his last breath. It sighed out of his mouth, taking his soul with it.